So we've got a brand new Planeswalker we've never heard of that's coming down the pike. A new Teferi Planeswalker that brings back phasing and more craziness in today's video. Greetings, owners of fine luxury cardboard rectangles, and welcome to another, did I say rectangles weird? I feel like I did. Whatever, I'm leaving it in. Enjoy it. Put it on the blooper reel. So we've got an interesting combination today for today's Mega Magic news, because we're actually going to be interweaving, splicing onto Leak Cane. No, that doesn't work. That doesn't sound right. Either way, what we're doing is we are taking some possibly leaked information that has a very high probability of being correct and a bunch of actual confirmed information from Wizards of the Coast, and we're putting together to get on the hype train. I guess hype wagon? I don't really like trains in Magic the Gathering. We're gonna get on the hype wagon, all right? So basically what's going on is we have a whole big list of information about what's coming out in Core 2021 that's been provided by Mark Rosewater, but in a somewhat cryptic fashion. Some of the information is tantalizing, and I'll be real. A couple items I read on the list, I go, I guess he needed filler for the list, because some of the stuff is like, But either way, let's talk about the veracity of the leaked information, or the likelihood that the leaked information is genuinely accurate. This comes from a Reddit post that was posted a week before the banned and restricted announcement that just dropped yesterday came out. And they specifically stated that Companion was going to be changed to what Companion was changed to, and they specifically stated that Fires of Invention was going to be banned. Now, they didn't cover the Agent of Treachery, so it's not a 100% matchup, but of the information they gave, those 2 points definitely lined up. They nailed the 3 casting costs to put it from your sideboard directly into your hand, and the Fires of Invention. So for me, there's a half decent chance that these leaks are real. Now, in terms of the leaks, they have a couple of cards that are pretty straightforward, like 1 blue and 1 mana for an instant that lets you draw a card, then draw another card for every copy of it in your graveyard. Now, you may be thinking when you hear that, it's a reprint. No hiccups, don't come on now. You may think it's a reprint of Accumulated Knowledge, but Accumulated Knowledge is functionally different and cares about cards in your opponent's graveyards as well. So this will be a one-sided version of Accumulated Knowledge. There will be a 1 black, 1 colorless instant that says destroy target creature or planeswalker with a converted mana cost of 3 or less. There is a 4 casting cost white 2/4 lifelink creature that says whenever 2 more creatures attack you or a planeswalker you control, you may draw a card. Whenever an opponent casts a second spell each turn, you may draw a card. That's actually pretty interesting from like White's rule setting perspective, because a lot of the time rules that are set by White are don't do X or I'll punish you. And in this case, it's don't do X or I'll reward myself. Bear in mind, these aren't automatically confirmed as being a part of the set for sure, because we can't confirm that these leaks are auto-accurate here. But according to this source, Ugin and Grim Tutor will also be included in the set. There is a 1 red, 1 green, and 1 colorless casting cost spell, or 1 generic mana to be more specific. It is a 3/3. As long as it's your turn, it has first strike. You may look at the top card of your library at any time. You may play the top card of your library if it's a land card. And for 6 mana, it gets +X, where X is the number of lands you control. That doesn't fall outside the realm of things we've seen with Courser of Krufrix, and that would be the green side of it. The red would be first strike on your turn, and we've seen creatures that have these abilities that turn on during your turn. So there's nothing from any of these cards that make me feel like they couldn't be Magic cards. There's nothing really outlandish here until we get to the new Teferi. So this is a Teferi that they say is 2 blue and 2 to cast. It's got 5 loyalty. You can use this Teferi's abilities anytime you can play an instant. Now, it's not clear if that just means on your turn or your opponent's turns. And it has a +1 ability of draw and discard. -3 target creature you don't control phases out. Well, there's a lot of stuff here on my screen. Screen just went to sleep. So, -3, target creature you don't control phases out. Now, that's going to be the biggest stickler. We'll come back to that. Let's just talk about the ultimate. The ultimate is -10. Take 2 extra turns after this one. So the +1 and the -10, very plausible. There is a note beside the loyalty that says it's tentative, so it may turn out it has a different loyalty than 5. But the -3 target creature you don't control phases out. Phasing is an ability that's been gone from Magic forever. It's definitely tied to Teferi. To put phasing in a very simple concept, think of phasing like exiling, but with different terms, basically under different circumstances. So when you phase out a creature, you're essentially exiling it. And people who are technical rule sticklers are going to come along with, that's not actually how it works. But understand that I'm explaining this in a way, like people are new to Magic, especially when it comes to phasing. This is an ability from decades ago. So I'm simply trying to give a rough approximation of the concept of phasing, as opposed to getting into the minutia of the actual full-on rulings, which may very well change. But think of phasing like this. When a permanent phases out, in this case it would be a creature, when a creature phases out, it's essentially exiled from the game, and it's going to return at the beginning of the next upkeep. But unlike other circumstances where you exile cards, when a creature is exiled from phasing out, it keeps its enchantments, it keeps its +1/+1 counters. It's not treated like a new object, because when you exile a card and it comes back, the game treats it as if it's a brand new thing. Phasing is like the game remembering the permanent and going, I remember you, and it comes back in the same condition that it was in, right, basically. So that is a very simplistic way of putting it, but I believe that's an effective way to communicate what it does. So his ability would be basically, you can put a creature that's not yours in this sort of timeout zone. You know, just put it over here. It's in the phase out zone. It'll come back during your next upkeep. So whether or not this is absolutely real is up for debate, but I will say that that ability on Teferi does tie into the information that we have acquired from Mark Rosewater, which is what we're going to talk about next. I've done a couple of videos about these sort of things before, where we have a bunch of teasers, this is essentially a list of facts about the set, but without enough information given that you can concretely say what the cards are, just enough information for you to kind of guess, imagine, however you want to look at it. I thought that, you know, previously this has been fun, so we're going to do it again. We're going to go over the points that are included. The first one on the list is a brand new Planeswalker, but from a plane we visited. So we're going to get a Planeswalker we've never had before, but they will come from a world that we're already familiar with. And that, I will say, out of everything on this list, is one of the absolute most exciting items on the list for me. The next item on the list is a card that lets you draw half your library. That sounds like fun. It also sounds really expensive, and it sounds like you're going to have to pitch a bunch of cards if you don't have a Reliquary Tower or a Spellbook. But either way, getting to draw half of your library in one go is pretty sweet. Admittedly, when it comes to cards that are like half your library, it does become a little bit annoying when playing paper Magic. Digitally on Arena, it'll be easy. The game will just load, just like, bloop, here you go. Here's your massive hand. Have fun clicking on all the cards you got to discard at the end of the turn. But for physical Magic, you actually have to sit there and count up the entire deck. You know what I mean? Depending on how casual things are. I've had people play Traumatizes on me where it's like, put out the top half of your deck into your graveyard. And I would just take the top half, because sometimes I'd be playing a 300 card green deck, which is hilarious to play against Mill. But anyways, take the top half, put it beside the other half, and approximate. You know what I mean? So in casual games, it won't be that big a deal. In tournament games, if the card is powerful enough to be tournament viable, that is, that could lead to some annoyance, let's be real. But either way, on like the gut level of just drawing half of your deck, that's cool. And I want to know what the flavor is behind it. How are they concepting a spell that like knowledge rushes you? You know what I mean? Where it's like intense knowledge rush, as all this power just flows into your brain all at once. You know, I dig that. I dig that as a concept. The next point is a +1/+1 tribal lord for a creature type that has never had one. And it's a creature type with over 50 cards that are already in print. So this is a lord that actually has way more than enough creatures to support a tribal deck that has never had a Lord before. Now, my friend's theory on this is it's actually going to be a dog Lord, because he heard they're going to make dog a creature type in Magic, which admittedly feels a little bit weird because Hound is already a creature type. But, you know, maybe they will want to have a separation, or maybe they're just going to change Hound to dog because it will fit better in like secret layers and stuff like that that aren't for Magic players that are as entrenched in the game but are still like dog lovers. Who knows? That is like, clearly we're in speculation territory here, pretty hardcore. The next one, this could lead to something really cool. This is another one of the good ones on the list. A character with a Vanguard card. If you don't know what Vanguards are, don't worry, that's like really, really old school. If you played on MTGO, it's a little less old school, but Vanguards were essentially these oversized character cards that represented different characters. So we had ones for Gerard, Squee, Hannah, Miri, all those kind of individuals, right? Selenia. All these major characters would get these Vanguard cards. And these Vanguard cards would apply specific restrictions and bonuses upon you, where your hand size might start like bigger hand size, but you start with less life. Or all your lands tap for an extra mana, but your hand size is smaller. All these different like rule setting style cards. So it's a character with a Vanguard card, and I assume they mean physical Vanguard card, which really limits it to only maybe 40. I think there might not even be 40 Vanguard cards. I might be overshooting by a considerable margin. I don't know exactly how many Vanguard cards there are, but I have a number in my collection. So it's a character with a Vanguard card, and a legendary creature card gets a second of the ladder. So basically, if we went through all of the cards that have all of the creatures that have Vanguard cards, and then turned around and made sure that there was already a legendary creature card printed, then they get a secondary printing. So we're going to see another version of a legendary creature. I've heard it might be Mishra, because the original Mishra wasn't really very commander friendly. So they want to make maybe a new Commander Mishra, but that pure speculation. There's nothing really to like back that up overall. A card with 31 different options. That one might actually just turn out to be like pick any color or colors, because once you start to break down all the different color combinations that you could have, 3, 4, 2, 1, and whatever, apparently, I've been told, I didn't do the math myself, but I've been told that 31 is the different options you have in choosing color combinations. So this might be a way of making it sound like, wow, maybe there's a card that lets you choose all these different abilities, but really it's just, you don't have that many choices, it feels like. It's just when you get all technical about it, yeah, you do. That sort of a scenario, right? So that point doesn't really excite me, but we're going through it all here. A card that gains all activated abilities of a certain subset of cards in a place it's never been done before. So an example of that could easily be a Planeswalker that gains all the activated abilities of all Planeswalkers in the graveyard, right? Because Planeswalkers would be a certain subset of cards, and that's never been done from graveyards. We have Nicol Bolas, where you get Planeswalker abilities from Planeswalkers in play, but we do not have anything that gains Planeswalker abilities from the graveyard. Now, bear in mind, that's just one example of what could fit those criteria. When it comes to this stuff, it's intentionally left very open-ended, right? And so some of these are going to get different people more excited than other of the points on the list. Now, the next point we're going to talk about is actually the one that dovetails with the leaked Teferi that gives it a little more credibility. And that is a card that uses a non-evergreen named ability over 20 years old. All right? So you could easily call that phasing. If you don't know what evergreen abilities are versus non-evergreen abilities are flying, first strike, trample, the kind of abilities that if they did not put them in a core set, or not in a core set, sorry, if they didn't put them in any Magic set, pick any random set that's created, if they didn't put those abilities in there, you'd be like, wait, why isn't this in here? This is like standard issue for all Magic sets. Non-evergreen are abilities that are specifically tied to particular worlds or particular sets. So phasing falls into that category, which does lend a little bit of credibility to the concept of that Teferi that we went over. The next point is a card with the words battlefield, cast, creature, convert a mana cost, end of turn, exile, graveyard, and mana cost. See, when I said earlier there's some that it just feels like filler, that feels like filler. How's that supposed to excite you? That they have words like battlefield, cast, creature, converted mana cost, end of turn, exile, graveyard, and mana cost. I feel like that point is not meh, it's whatever. After that, we got an aura inspired from a cycle in Urza's Saga. So some cycle from Urza's Saga has inspired an aura. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that it's inspired by another enchantment. It could be them taking an ability on a non-enchantment card and putting on an enchantment. So it would come from a cycle from the Urza block. Now, off the top of my head, I actually don't genuinely have a guess for that one. The next point on the list is a non-evergreen enchantment subtype returns. And I've heard people bandying about concepts like tribal, but tribal doesn't count as an enchantment subtype. Enchantment subtypes would be things like curses, for example. Or, if you want a recent example, think about for the historic cards that they've released recently, all of the shrines. You know how it says enchantment-shrine, and it counts up the number of shrines you have? So it will be something like that. It'll either be curse returning, maybe they'll have some new shrine options to go with the historic shrine, so all of a sudden you can play up to 10 different shrines, which might get pretty crazy, who knows? So that's that point. The next point is Core 2021 also has a number of fun reprints, including a popular character first introduced in flavor text. So a popular character introduced in flavor text, it's a reprint, could be something like Fibblethip. You've got a creature like Fibblethip only existed as a flavor text concept, and then he became a card, right? It doesn't automatically mean it's him, but that's an example. A French vanilla mythic rare. So French vanilla means that from the terms of Magic the Gathering, French vanilla are creatures that just use like evergreen keywords. So you can have a creature with a ton of abilities like First Strike, Trample, all the stuff that you'd normally see in a set that we already talked about. You can see all of that on a card and it would be considered French vanilla. So it's got to stick to just being like a basic creature, like whatever, 5/5, 6/6, 10/10, whatever it is, with just evergreen abilities. That's my understanding of French vanilla when it's applied to Magic the Gathering. Now, considering that it's going to be a mythic rare, I imagine it's going to have a considerable amount of abilities, or just be a gigantic beefcake. Oh, I would love it. Some gigantic mythic green creature with a bunch of smashy abilities. Hook me up. All right, what's the next point? A popular aura that started as part of a cycle. I've got no guesses on that one. A card with a unique protection. So Progenitus has a unique protection. It has protection from everything. Haktos has a unique protection because it has protection from a selected converted mana cost. So instead of something pro-blue, pro-green, pro-white, or whatever, it's going to be something that has a protection that only it has. And that actually narrows down the suspects quite a bit, but it could still turn out to be a terrible card. 2 cards played in tournaments that have been reprinted over 20 times with at least 5 different pieces of art. Meh, that doesn't really excite me. 2 cards that got played in tournaments that have been reprinted over 20 times. So something we've had a ton of times is coming back. Doesn't feel super exciting. A card that's never previously appeared in a Premier set. You don't know what Premier set means. That's just Wizards' fancy way of trying to make regular, everyday, normal sets sound special, I guess? It's just like literally, Core 2020 is a Premier set, Throne of Eldraine's a Premier set. So it's weird. It's marketing lingo, man. It doesn't mean anything. Don't worry about that, you know? So it's a card we're reprinting a card that's never been reprinted in one of our basic sets. So it's been reprinted, but just in some side product. Meh. A card that's never been reprinted before, which has a 2, 3, 5, and 6 all appear on the card. That's another one that falls into the category of, okay, who cares? This has 4 different numbers on it. Okay, so can I please pre-order this? That definitely gets me fired up. Whatever, right? A human monk. Okie dokie. That's another one that falls on the line of meh. And then the final thing on the list is a card from the Time Spiral Time Shifted sheet. Now, I like this one. This set of time, what's it called again? Sorry. The Time Shifted cards. It's a set of 121 cards. If you've ever seen a Magic card where the expansion symbol looks like a purple hourglass, those are the time-shifted cards. There's 121 of them, and they were created for the time spiral block to pull from all different parts of Magic's history. They are all reprints, and they range in power from the ludicrously garbage all the way up to the genuinely powerful, right? So there's a number of cards on the list. Now, there is one specifically that has Teferi's name in it. And since the set is based around Teferi, I think that Teferi's Moat is a very likely candidate to be the reprint. Now, of course, it could be anything out of those 121 cards. So from a pure blind guess, I have less than a 1% chance of being right. However, it is the only time-shifted card that has Teferi in the name. And it feels like a card that they can reprint without being too powerful, but it's still going to be attractive. And in all honesty, I'm saying Teferi's Moat, but I'm genuinely hoping that it won't be Teferi's Moat, because that card shuts off attackers of one color, basically. Like, if you put that out against my mono green deck, I'm going to lose unless I get enchantment disruption, because I literally won't be able to attack with my creatures. It is a aimed hoser that I suspect is going to be the card, but also secretly I'm like, please let it be something else. I don't want to get Teferi's Moated for the next, 2 years in Standard. Please. So, my friends, I'm sure that as you heard what I had to say here, you probably had some thoughts of your own as to what these different teaser cards could be. So go ahead and share that information in the comments below. Let me know what you think. Also, let me know what you think about the leaks. I'm not saying that they're guaranteed to be the real deal, but there's enough information there that the person knew what was up with the whole bannings and everything that makes me feel like I shouldn't just wave it away and automatically say, no, it's not true. Oh, and speaking of something I waved away and said wasn't true, since I won't end up doing a video on this, talking about the collector's boxes of Theros, some people who ordered the International Women's Day Secret Lair, it came super late. And along with it came a full box of Theros collector's boosters. Now, I didn't believe it when I heard that. I said, there's no way that Wizards would send you a full collector's box with a Secret Lair. That's absurd. But it's confirmed now. It is 100% confirmed. Multiple sources reported it. And then Wizards actually came out and said, you know what? We accidentally sent out full collector's boxes when we meant to send out collector's packs. So that really did happen, but they've corrected the internal error, miscommunication that led to that. So going forwards, anybody who has not yet received their Women's Day Secret Lairs or their Stargazing Secret Lairs can expect to receive one Theros Collector's booster with it. So I just wanted to clear that up so that if that happened to you, you didn't think you got ripped off. It's just Wizards made a huge mistake internally and ended up sending $200 boxes out to people who had bought a $50 box set. So that obviously is costing them some money in the end run, even if it's just from not being able to sell the product. But don't fall into the trap of being someone who's like, oh man, I should have got a collector's box. They owe me one. You're just going to make yourself feel bad for nothing. So, like I said, let me know what you think in the comments below. If you like what I'm doing here, jump on my Patreon, because this channel is community funded. That's how I keep this thing running. So if you love what I'm doing, get on board. Makes me a happy pappy. Thanks for coming by, everybody. And I will see you all very soon.